Thank you. Please be seated. Yeah, thank you very much. Principal Secretary is present. The Minister of Education, Dr. Perio Kipsang, and Dr. Beatrice Nyangara, Chairman of the Education Committee of the Senate, Honorable Nyutu, Chairperson, Kenya National Examination Council, Professor Churias Nyabundi, Chief Executive Officer, Teacher Service Commission, Dr. Nancy Macharia, Chief Executive Officer, Kenya National Examination Council, Dr. David Njangere, NEC Council members, senior officers from the Ministry of Education, represented here, representatives from the teachers' unions, KNUT, we have the chairman. Thank you, Chairman Munue. Secretary General, Corins, thank you. The chair, Kipsa, is also here. Charles Ochome, thank you, welcome. Kipsa Chairman, Johnson Nshoka, thank you. And officers from the Ministry of Interior, Julius Mukwe, the Assistant Inspector General, Etiang Kupet, my friend, Secretary General Carol, welcome, and the members of the Fourth Estate, welcome. I am today standing before you to make perhaps my most significant address to the nation since His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, appointed me Cabinet Secretary for Education nearly 2 months ago. Over these 2 months, I have taken time to personally consult widely over the status of our education sector, which is arguably one that attracts interest from every household. For in every home, there is a child. More importantly, my appointment immediately drew me to the deep of the sector with the national examination season racking and the need to clear the matter that was the grade 6 cohorts transition to junior secondary school under the competence-based curriculum. By good fortune, the head of state, in keeping with his promise as outlined in the education charter of Kenya Kwanza Manifesto, stepped in with a brilliant decision to appoint the Presidential Working Party on Education Reforms. By dint of the team's preliminary report, the President has already directed that the junior secondary school be domiciled in the existing primary schools. What did this masterstroke decision of President mean? It means that parents will now not lose sleep over finding grade 7 places in secondary schools, which could have become their worst headache ever had the President not saved the situation. Secondly, domiciling the junior secondary within the primary school level means that the expected crisis of a double intake in our already congested high schools was averted. Lastly, it means that the newly constructed classes in secondary schools that were initially meant for the junior secondary school level are now available to ease our strained infrastructure in secondary schools. We therefore expect to have a relatively peaceful path to the achievement of the 100% transition policy of government during the Form 1 admission next year. Amid the smooth administration of the national examinations for 2022, I have, together with my top administration, subjected the sector into a quick baseline analysis with a view to finding an anchor upon which the new government can roll in its interventions. Based on this analysis, we have realized that for us to raise the sector performance a notch higher, we must anchor our management on the following. 1. Robust stakeholder consultations. As a ministry and working with the key agencies, we will work together with all sector players while embracing regular consultations and public participation in line with our Constitution. In this, we will take a cue from the example already set through the Presidential Working Party on education reforms, which has combed every part of our country to correct the views from all Kenyans. 2, ensuring staff and technical officers work with the formidable teamwork. We will redouble our efforts to motivate our staff at the Ministry of Education for them to deliver service to Kenyans in one spirit. I promise to work with all stakeholders to ensure staff deployments, recognition and promotions are strictly based on merit and are carried out in strict conformity with Chapter 10 on values and the principles of the Constitution. I am arrived at the fact that regardless of how smart our policies will be, they will always be doomed to failure unless our implementing staff are motivated to work well, since they sit at the execution desk and close at the consumers of our services. 3, focused reform of policies and regulations. We are looking at the Presidential Working Party to make recommendations about laws, policies, and regulations in our sector. We have seen a number of attempts to amend some of the existing laws, policies, and regulations, a few of which are currently pending before the National Assembly. Under my stewardship of the sector, we will carefully consult with all stakeholders with a view to driving the reform processes to a decisive and logical conclusion based on the recommendations of the Working Party. We will appeal on the respective committees of the National Assembly and the Senate to be patient with us as we will regularly knock on their doors as we seek these legal and policy reforms. Inevitably, many of the expected reforms will stem from the recommendations of the Presidential Working Party when it completes its work early next year. This being my inaugural function for the release of KCPE examination results, I feel already that we have successfully administered 2 national examinations concurrently at the primary school level, and the results for the KCPE examinations are ready within a period of 20 days. I wish to thank His Excellency the President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, for his leadership and support during the conduct of the 2022 KCPE examinations. The President led the multi-agency team and the Cabinet Secretaries in monitoring of the administration of KCPE examination, where they visited the examination centers and exhibited support for the candidates. My Cabinet colleagues praised the morning code to be at the examination containers in solidarity with the contracted personnel, approved that the current administration is determined to maintain a credible national examinations. I also thank our teachers for their instrumental role in the preparation of candidates and the participation in the administration of the 2022 KCPE examination. I applaud the center managers, supervisors, invigilators, examiners, sub-count directors of education, deputy county commissioners, and security officers who played exemplary roles in helping us deliver a credible examination. In his recent directive on the domiciling of grade 6, 7, and 8, His Excellency President William Ruto ordered the Ministry of Education to provide further guidelines on the transition. Following this directive, I formed a multi-agency committee to draft the guidelines that will guide the transition. Specifically, the committee is expected to draft the guidelines that will effectively ensure a seamless transition from primary school grade 6 to junior secondary school, facilitate effective leadership and management of junior secondary school, promote consistency in the implementation of the junior secondary school curriculum, including teaching and learning and assessment, ensure the provision of adequate, appropriate, and safe physical infrastructure and a runner-friendly environment for all learners, including those with special needs and disabilities. Ensure the provision of adequate and well-prepared human resources to facilitate curriculum delivery for junior secondary school. Finally, outline the roles and the responsibilities of key stakeholders in the implementation of the various components of junior secondary school. I expect to hold a meeting with all stakeholders in January 3rd, 2023 to consider and release the guidelines so they can provide a roadmap to all players as they prepare for the junior secondary school. Already the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development has released the Grade 7 curriculum designs and instructional materials for use at the junior secondary school level. Arising from the Presidential Directive and cascaded to the Kenya National Examination Council by myself, the Kenya Primary School Education Assessment will not be used for placement of the runners in a junior secondary school. The KCPE report will, however, be part of the process of monitoring of runner progress. I have directed the Kenya National Examination Council to upload the report of the assessment on the school portals in January 2023 to enable schools to develop strategies of further running and teaching. As is the government tradition, all the candidates whose research I'm releasing today will be admitted to Form 1 under the 100% transition policy. There should be no case of any parent or guardian keeping their children at home when admission to Form 1 are opened up, as this is against the constitutional requirement. Since the country experienced the COVID-19 pandemic, which occasioned a prolonged close of schools, the government has been running a heavily constricted and reorganized school calendar in a spirited attempt to restore the normal term dates. This reorganization of school term dates has come at a heavy cost to parents in terms of pressure to clear school fees within short intervals, teachers having heavy workloads, while runners have had to cover more content within an extremely short time. I wish to particularly single out the 2022 KCPE cohort, whose examination results we are releasing today. When COVID-19 hit our country in March 2020, the cohort was in Standard 6 and only resumed their classes upon the full reopening of schools in January 2021. Between January 2021 and November 2022, just 23 months, this cohort has managed to cover 3 school calendar years. This is astonishingly incredible. In fact, the cohort covered their grade 8 school calendar in just 6 months, having joined in June 2022. In between, the country went into a general election that also occasioned an unnecessarily long half-term break, besides the confusion and anxiety associated with such a national exercise. Please join me in celebrating our 2022 cohort of KCPE, ladies and gentlemen. I wish to thank all the stakeholders, especially parents and teachers, for withstanding the financial and the teaching pressures. Respectively, they came with their shorter school terms as forced upon us by the COVID-19 pandemic. Thanks to all your concerted efforts, we will from January 2023 revert to our normal school calendar. The ministry is determined to place the 2022 KCPE candidates in secondary schools as soon as possible to give parents adequate time to prepare them for their admission to Form 1. The actual Form 1 selection exercise for all categories of schools will be concluded on January 16, 2023. A total of 1,233,852 candidates sat their 2022 KCPE examination in 28,408 centers across the country. These candidates will be allowed to start their secondary school journey as they have all qualified to be admitted to Form 1. Congratulations to the class of 2022 for your spirited academic campaign that defied the triple challenge of a general election, COVID-19, and shortened school calendars. Of these candidates, 620,965, that is 50.32%, were boys, while 612,887, meaning 49.67%, were girls, a clear indication that our country has achieved gender parity at the primary school level. In the 2021 KCPE, 1,214,031 candidates sat their examination. According to the data, 4 counties had a significant entry of more male than female candidates. These were Turkana, Garissa, Wajir, and Mandera. On the other hand, Marsabit, Isiolo, and Meru had a significant entry of more female than male candidates in the examination. The number of candidates who sat the examination in hospitals in 2022 was 147, compared with 166 in 2021. All these candidates will also progress to Form 1. The number of registered candidates who were 12 years and below declined from 33,627, meaning 2.74%, in 2021 to 31,494, meaning 2.53% in 2022, indicating that parents and schools are on the right path of enrolling children in school at the right age. The counties which had the highest percentage entry for candidates who were 12 years and below for the year 2022 KCPE examination were Baringo, Wajir, Kericho, Bomet, and West Pokot. The highest number of candidates were in the appropriate age bracket of 13 to 15 years, were 885,162, meaning 71.13%, a trend that has been replicated in the last 5 years. The counties which had the highest percentage of candidates who were 18 years and above were Garissa, Turkana, Kilifi, Kware, and Mandera. In the 2022 KCPE examination, overall performance improved compared to 2021, despite the difficult situation that faced this cohort of candidates. The mark of the highest candidate rose 4 points from 428 in 2021 to 431 in 2022. Another positive indicator of better performance by the candidates was in the mean average performance. The data analysis showed that more than half of all the candidates who sat the examination, that is 619,583, or 50.22%, scored between 200 and 299 marks, as compared with 578,106, or 47.17%, who scored between the same marks in 2021. We are therefore very impressed with the KCPE examination class of 2022 for performing very well and raising the standards of the main performance. Additionally, whereas 1,170 candidates scored between 1 and 99 marks in the 2021 KCPE examination, that number has gone down to only 724 in the year 2022 examination, despite the rise in overall candidature in the 2 years. This was an indicator that most candidates scored better grades than the previous year. In particular, I am impressed that 9 candidates with special needs scored 400 marks and above, compared with only 2 in 2021. The first candidate with special needs scored 419 marks more than the top candidate in 2022 who scored in 2021. Overall, we have been impressed that 4 papers recorded an improvement in performance in the year 2022 when compared to 2021. These are English language, Kiswahili Lugha, Kiswahili Insha, and Kenyan Sign Language. However, 6 papers, English composition, Kenya Sign Language composition, mathematics, science, social studies, and religious education recorded a drop in performance in 2022 compared with 2021. Female candidates performed better than their male counterparts in English language, Kiswahili, and the Kenya Sign Language. Male candidates performed better than their female counterparts in mathematics, science, and social studies, and religious education. I wish to direct the quality assurance and the standards to find ways of addressing the gaps that might be causing the performance of each agenda, as there seems to be a pattern where girls beat boys in specific subjects each year and vice versa. Nonetheless, I thank the teachers, parents, and the candidates for achieving this astounding performance as the country emerges from the COVID-19 and the effects of the general election. The summary of grades is as follows. Mark range between 400 and 500. We had 9,443, and as I've said, the best score was 431, which makes 0.77 when we come to percentage. Mark between 300 and 399, we had 307,756, making it 24.94%. Between 200 and 299, we had a total of 619,593 candidates, making it 50.22%. Those who scored between 100 and 199 were 296,336, making it 24.2%. Those who scored between 1 and 99 were 724, making it 0.06%. The total number that sat the examination were 1,233,852, making it a percentage of 99.16%. The overall performance for special needs candidates is as follows. Those who scored between 400 and 500 were 7, meaning this was 0.29%. Those who scored between 300 and 399 were 296 candidates, making it 12.25%. Those who scored between 200 and 299 were 838, making it 34.67%. Those who got between 100 and 199 were 1,270, making it 52.54%. Those who scored between 1 and 99 were 6, making it 0.25%. The total number of candidates in this category that sat the exam were 2,417, making it a total percentage of 98.01%. The combined efforts of the multi-agency examination team of the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Interior, Teacher Service Commission, National Administration, ICT, and Digital Economy helped to ensure that the 2022 KCPE examination was free of malpractices. Overall, there were only 252 candidates in 9 examination centers who were found to have engaged in malpractices. These candidates have been scored 0 in the subjects where they engaged in such malpractices. Nonetheless, the affected candidates' overall mark will be computed as the mark awarded in the affected subject. The candidates will receive their examination results and will transition to secondary school. This is in the spirit of the 100% transition policy. As is our tradition, the KCPE examination results will be corrected by respective schools from the sub-county examination centers, education centers. Candidates should therefore correct their research from their respective examination centers. Individual candidates' research can also be accessed by sending a candidate's index number followed by the initials KCPE through a short message service SMS to 20076. 20076. The candidate's index number plus the initials KCPE and then the number 20076. This service will be available immediately after this event. Head teachers will be required to download and print the online research slips for candidates in their schools and authenticate the same before they are released to parents, guardians, and candidates. It is now my great pleasure to declare the 2022 KCPE examination results officially released. I wish all the candidates and indeed all the stakeholders in the education sector a Merry Christmas and a happy, prosperous New Year 2023. Thank you very much.
We now move to the official release of the KCPE